Back to Ed Bleeds Blue. I'm going to review the round victory that we've just had over the Geelong Footy Club. I've got home from the game. It's still Friday night. It's pretty late now. I've rewatched the last quarter. Just really wanted to enjoy that. And I think like probably most of us, either this morning, if you're watching it this morning, or this afternoon, or whatever it might be, feeling pretty content and pretty proud of the game that the club put together. And not just the game, but the entire, activation before the game that I thought was done really well and done really classy. And the way that Voss talked about it in the press conference, it was a proud night to be a Carlton person. 21 goals, 12, 138. That's a massive score. 11 goals, 9, 75. The Cats, 63-point win. I was going into this game confident we'd win, hoping we'd win by a margin that wasn't sort of, we got away with one there. 63 points is probably not what I was expecting. And I'll be honest, I don't quite know where to start. There's so much good to talk about. So I'll try and unpack it piece by piece. But probably like most of these reviews and like most of us are probably feeling right now, there's just a lot of, and that was good, and this was good, and that was good. So yeah, just a really great night at the footy. I think if you get a chance, I would listen to Voss's press conference. I always do. They're always interesting. They're not just a stock standard. I mean, he can say a few cliches, but he talks about our team in a way that you sort of look at it and you think, yep, I think that's a fair assessment of us. And tonight was just a real coming together of all the various pieces that we have seen at times over the last, I'm going to say, since the start of 2022. So let's call it the start of the Voss era. We've seen different bits and pieces of what this group's capable of. We've rarely seen it for an entire 4 quarters, if at all. And this is the closest that we've seen it. So the main pieces that stick out to me are one, just our contest and clearance and stoppage work. That's been an absolute feature of our game. We're super dominant throughout that for the evening against a midfield which is still really got some quality players in the Geelong midfield. So that was the first thing that was excellent. I thought our ball movement was really nice. It did come with the occasional mistake and the occasional turnover, which is just the nature of the beast. One, as you're developing it, and two, if you want to move the ball quickly, there's going to be mistakes. No team has a perfect game where there's 0 turnovers. But I thought that aspect of what we did was really good. I feel like our defence was staunch. It found itself under pressure for little patches of the game in particular. Some patches throughout the first quarter, definitely in the third quarter. And I thought our pressure and our turnover game, which I know is talked about a lot in sort of, by footy experts and media, that was really evident to me tonight, that we were forcing them into turnovers, which we would then capitalise on. If you've been watching my station, you'll know that I think I called it in the preview, I said I'm borderline obsessed about how we enter the forward line. Thought we did it well. I know we've won by 63 points against a team which has won a premiership in the last 2 years, so I shouldn't be greedy. I think can be still improved. I can think of a number of forward entries that could have been better and should have maybe resulted in goals when they didn't, particularly in the first half of that third quarter. I was a little bit worried that we could have blown the game away in the third quarter and then they kicked those last 3. I wasn't really worried at 3-quarter time, but it just annoyed me. I think we were 44 up at one point in the third, and we probably could have gone to 50 or 56 quite easily, but we just... these are the 4 entries that I can think of over the course of the night where I'm like, that should have been a goal. Chincotta had 2 entries in the second quarter, which both just... He had space and time and he didn't hit someone up. By the way, Alex is in amazing form, but they were just 2 entries. Cripper had one that he just floated in the second quarter. And then that one where Akers there was nothing in front of him, but it was a 2-on-1, but they were running back at goal and he just skied it in the perfect position for the Geelong player to take a mark. These are the small aspects of the game that I suppose I'm focusing on, which you might think I'm being petty, but I think I'm just so pleased with all the good that I saw last night that I just I want to keep my feet on the ground about it all, and for that reason I'm thinking, okay, where could we tidy things up? But honestly, it was a really complete performance. We were super hungry. I thought our skills were good in areas where they haven't been the best over the first half of the year. Definitely the last few weeks they've been better, but just earlier in the year I just worried about our skills through the middle of the ground. I thought our firepower up forward we looked dangerous. The kick that I really, or the play that I really liked today, is that I felt like the fast entry forward always went to a dangerous spot. So the one where someone's under pressure and they've just got to get it in the 50, there's no time to really necessarily hit someone up. I thought that really went to great spots throughout the evening, and that's why we got goals, or that's why Charlie got so many goals that were at ground level. Even Harry, I think it was Harry's, it might have been his second goal, one of his goals in the second quarter, where Tom got the ball under pressure to Koning and just swung it onto the boot. And it was just a really good kick. It had enough height on it. It was to a dangerous spot, and Harry read it best. Those are the type of kicks that I feel like we haven't seen enough of, and now we're starting to see more and more of. Like I said, I thought it might be a little bit all over the place with this one, and like you, I'm on a little bit of a high right now, just really lapping up what I saw. The evolution of this group, and I don't want to zoom out too much, is such that we've tried to build parts of our game, and I suppose there's three pieces of this evolution that are going to take us to the premiership that we all want dearly. The first part is developing the pieces of the game individually. And I talked about the pieces that we want to see and what we saw tonight. They've had to be developed individually over time. Then we've had to try to piece them together. And we haven't had ultimate success doing that. There's been times when, certain parts of our game has been on and others have been off, and vice versa. The last 4 weeks, it feels like those pieces are starting to come together. So what's the next evolution? Well, the next evolution is the consistency. And this is what Voss was talking about in his press conference. I don't expect us to win by 63 points every week, but I think all of us would love to go to the football and know that that's the type of performance we're going to get from this group week in, week out. And I think something, as I sort of came up here to record this for you, I wanted to think, what do I really want to say about this that perhaps will be somewhat of a unique take? And there's no real unique take on this. Everyone's going to be talking about the things I've already talked about. But there is one thing that I think we all should just take a step back and stop and just remember. I think Michael Voss has been the perfect selection of coach for this group. The pressure and the expectation and everything that is surrounding this club is such that this group could have, and at times has, slightly gotten ahead of itself or slightly not handled the pressure of being the Carlton Football Club and looking like a group that could do something special. And just his combination of leadership, and I think he's harsh on them to the point where I think they all love him and respect him because he is harsh on them. And I'm not using harsh in a negative way. I'm using he drives them really, really well. And then the last piece, which I think perhaps I didn't know if he had this piece to him, but tactically, I just feel like some of the decisions he's made recently have been first class, and I wasn't expecting some of them, and they've all worked out quite well. So probably the few that I can think of off the top of my head over the last month, and none of these haven't been talked about, but obviously Alex Cincotta and the way that he's been playing on people. But tonight for him to go to Tom Stewart, I thought that was a really interesting move. I didn't think that's how we would attack the Tom Stewart piece. The Zach Williams move up forward, I think, is just been something that has not only worked for the team, but worked for that individual so well and really revived his career to a degree. I mean, he had a year off with an ACL. And then just the way he's managed to get the most out of some players that I didn't think would be part of our best 22. The one that really stands out for me is Cowan. Lockie Fogarty always has been somebody who I knew was hard and tough, but I feel like he is sort of leads the way in terms of the pressure acts that that Voss would value really hard. And I think that him being a part of the side, again, I sort of think Voss has used and got the most out of a player like him. And then just the way now that the forward line seems to be functioning, I know they have their line coaches, but for so long it just looked like we didn't quite know how to capitalize on these really tall, talented players we have. And the ball movement that I'm seeing, I know those players have always had those skills. So obviously there's something going on at training and preparation for games that the coaching staff and as the head coach, Michael Voss, needs to be congratulated on. So I feel like I haven't talked much about the game, have I? I've just really enjoyed the evening, and it's just great to see Carlton people so happy. So some votes, not an easy one to give votes for. There was a lot of great performances. I gave one vote to Walshy. He's just such a hard worker, so tough as well. He got a few hits. I mean, he could have been knocked out in that Dangerfield tackle in the first minute. Not that I'm accusing Dangerfield of anything ill, but the just reality is he could have been knocked out. And just some of the handballs that he was doing, like the one over his head in the last few minutes. Remarkable player. I gave 2 votes to TDK. He's said to my dad, he's playing like the junior who had the growth spurt in under 14s that no one's had yet. He just seems bigger and broader, more confident. He's actually taking the ball out of the ruck a lot and to great effect. I've noticed people try to do that and don't do it that well, but when he does it, I feel like it's working. It's working often enough for him to try it as often as he does. And then I gave 3 votes to Patrick Cripps. I am not keeping track of what votes I'm giving, so I'm just sort of doing it as an exercise after each game. I can't speak highly enough of Patrick Cripps and his evolution. He is becoming a better leader and captain and player in my eyes. I know that he ran a Brownlow in 2022, but just the way he's going about it, there's something about his determination, and I feel like he always was creative, but now he's bringing other players into the game, and he almost... I don't know if you can be this specific, so I'm probably just looking for this and finding some evidence to support a theory of mine. But I feel like he almost looks to bring the players into the game that he knows need assistance. You know, it's like, well, if I can get the ball out to so and so right now, who's not having the greatest night, giving them the footy is gonna get their confidence up, and that's gonna help the team. I feel like he's so aware of all his teammates and what they need to be their best version of themselves, and he's offering what he can for them. Yeah, what a player. Could he win the Brownlow this year? Brownlow's an interesting one, hey, because, you know, you can have the year of your life, and it really just depends who else takes votes off you and things like that. But he'll be around the mark. I guess we'll do a Brownlow show at one point. Just to finish with... I think we're about to enter... Well, no, sorry. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves because it was just one night. But if we keep this up, we're probably going to enter a phase of the year which will be interesting for us, where we, you know, it sort of feels like, okay, we're starting to really lock away a final spot. You know, we didn't have finals locked away until the second last round last year. We could lock a final spot away as early as 2 months out from the finals. We could lock up a top 4 spot as early as a month out. So really what we've got to do is just think about what does the side need to tweak and to work with. And there's going to be some pretty brutal conversations. Just sort of I was watching players tonight and I was already sort of thinking about, okay, are you going to be part of this, and how are you going to fit in when so-and-so comes back? And I'm not going to go into specifics right now, but I think we are about to enter those conversations. Like, how do we fit so-and-so in? How do we fit so-and-so in? It doesn't seem fair to let this person go, and if we let that person go, then we miss out on this. Yeah, they're going to be some interesting times. Let's pray that they're the conversations we're having, not conversations about like, well, I can't fix this, can't do that, because they're the conversations we're having around about this time last year, maybe a little bit more than a year ago now. Yeah, folks, there's going to be a lot of content to consume about this game, so maybe you'll get something a little bit more. How do I put it? That breaks down the specifics a bit more than I have here, but probably like you, if you're a Carlton fan, just really reveling in the form that the team's in, and yeah, let's enjoy this win, and I know that they'll enjoy it, but then they'll be getting straight back into preparing for a team next week that'll be hungry to make a bit of a statement against we are the hunted now. We are the hunted, so we need to be ready for that. Rightio. Great night. Go Blues.